So when you're applying your product, it's really important to understand the product and what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to target the leaf? Are you trying to target the soil? And it's also really important to think about the wastage and how you can minimize that. Let's have a look. So we're going to have a look at how we target the right area when we're making our applications. If you've got a soil-based application, something that's going to be taken up by the root, you want to be getting that down into the soil here. And you can see with this cauda line how easy that would be with this particular plant. However, move over to this euonymus. Got a very dense canopy, so it's going to be quite difficult getting things down through the top, but actually you've got quite a lot of access to that soil still. But if we move over to this hebe, where the soil is just buried, the water volume and to get down through this density is going to prove quite tricky. But if we're trying to target the foliar, so we've got something that we want to coat the leaf and shield it and protect it, then this is quite easy again. You can get it down to the crown quite easily. Naturally, everything's going to want to go down there, so low water volumes would work much better here. The density in this canopy is pretty dense, so getting something in these lower regions is going to be quite tricky. That's going to need quite a bit of thought to make sure we get those covered well. So when we look at this hebe, really dense canopy, lots and lots of leaf there. Soil is pretty much hidden by the leaf canopy too. Foliar applications are quite easy in this environment, although we need a relatively good water volume to cover most of it. We need to think about our droplet size so we reduce the runoff, because the runoff will end up in the soil, which, assuming you've got a foliar type application, is what you want to avoid. So why is it important to hit the foliar? Well, if you've got a systemic product or even a contact fungicide, it's really important to cover as much of the leaf as possible. So that if it's a contact, it shields that leaf and stops any issues. If it's systemic, it gets well absorbed and it's even. But what we don't want is any of that being wasted and hitting the soil or running off where it won't get used. So if we think about an insecticide, which is a little bit different, really good coverage is important here. Challenging because of the density of these plants, but even more so, you really want to be covering the underside of these leaves. So getting the product all over the leaf, underside of leaf, without losing too much into the soil and around, really tricky, but really important. So when we set up to spray our product, we really want to think about where we want to target that application and where we want to get that product within the plant.